reality is that you could spend a lot of time and put together a tremendous strategic plan, but if there's not alignment around that plan, you're simply dead in the water like a cruise ship that's run out of gas. So alignment is so important in all of the operations for a board. So let's take a quick look at the definition of alignment. Alignment is the act of aligning or state of being aligned, especially the proper positioning or state of adjustment of parts, or in this case, the positioning of board members' ideas in relation to each other. Forming in a line, and the line thus formed. Alignment is a ground plan in distinction from a profile, and it's an arrangement of groups or forces in relation to one another. When some people or board members hear the term alignment or board alignment, they automatically feel that they may be stifled and aren't allowed to disagree with their fellow board members. And this couldn't be further from the truth. Placing a focus on board alignment does not mean that board members aren't allowed to disagree or voice their opinions. And we all know it's not easy or not an easy task to have 3, 5, 7, 9, sometimes 13 board members align on any one decision, or to get all those board members to align on a plan for the future of your community. So what that does mean, though, and what board alignment means, is that board members have to be able to agree to disagree, and they have to be able to support the decisions of the majority. While we understand that people may have very, very strong positions on things, you are fiduciaries of the communities that you represent, and part of upholding your fiduciary duty to your association or your corporation is aligning on decisions that are made by the majority for the good of the community, outside of your own personal agenda or any agenda that you may have, really doing good for the greater good of the community, and aligning behind that. So there needs to be patience, there needs to be understanding, there needs to be nuance and give and take amongst the board members. Can we have the next slide, please? So what happens when your tires on your car are out of alignment? Your steering wheel can shake. It becomes difficult to drive. Your car may pull to one side or the other. When you're driving straight, your steering wheel may be completely off center, and now your tires are wearing prematurely, creating expense for you that you may not have considered, or an expense that you really don't want to undertake at a certain time. So being misaligned clearly is an issue. And the same holds true for boards and for communities. So what happens when a board is not aligned? Oftentimes, not much on the productivity front, because that board, unfortunately, almost can't even get out of its own way. There's constant disagreement. There's people dig their feet in and they draw a line in the sand, and that really does stifle productivity. And this is where a strategic plan comes into play. And there's real value in taking the individual board members' goals, objectives, and agenda and aligning them into one plan that all the fiduciaries would agree on. Studies have shown us that when groups of decision makers are not aligned, there's a 50% decrease in likelihood that those misaligned groups will actually solve problems. And we also find, and studies also show, that misaligned groups are 30% more likely to spend additional time making decisions than groups that are aligned. So when, as board members, when you're frustrated, when you leave a meeting and you feel that nothing was accomplished, that's likely because there might be a lack of alignment amongst the board. And really, that's where you almost have to put the brakes on and try to figure out how you can get aligned in order to make the best decisions for the greater good of your community. We found in our experience that those misaligned boards often have the highest number of detractors in the community. And more often than not, those misaligned boards are put in a position to defend their decisions and their decision-making process due to a lack of a strategic plan, and also a lack of transparency. Sherman and Crystal did a great job of highlighting what that strategic plan is and what the operational benefits are. But really, that strategic plan should be shared with the whole community. And yes, we understand that board members turnover. The idea here is that strategic plan survives the turnover of board members. And of course, it could be amended and it could be tweaked and it could be, it could be shifted a little bit. But without that roadmap, now as a board, you're forced to be reactive and not proactive. Or if you have that strategic plan, you can use it as your guide when you're making decisions and in the way that you govern your community.